It goes on the other side. Mouse here. Drink. What's that? Oh, that's about as quick as I can get. I think.
You don't want to go on full screen?
No, because I need to go back.
Okay.
Wait a minute, had the other one up in the other one.
I know that's why I was.
Roll the dice.
I got another one.
Something popped up.
It went wrong.
That one.
Yeah, but this one, this is one I lost. What happened?
I think I clicked it.
All right, yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Oh, no.
You're just expensive.
That's what I want.
Jorge, you'll be up next.
Well, now I know I wanted this down because I have my speaker notes here.
Yeah, okay. No printing.
Okay, a few weeks ago I was here and I gave a talk on using ChatGPT to create a Google login, and it failed because the code for that was deprecated. Well, we've done it again, and we've got it to work. So this is using ChatGPT to create a Google login, the sequel. So we have it to work. We have it to work on localhost and also on Heroku. So here's the big deal: is what is the input to ChatGPT? Pratul helped me on this time, and the input this time was create a Google login with Node.js as a back end. And what should I set up in GCP for the above authentication? And in ChatGPT, these things can go together so that you can chain them. So, and that worked pretty well for us. The output, we got the code, we got how to run the code, and we got how to set up the credentials, all of those things. It was pretty good. So let me show you a little bit about the code. Bring that up. I don't know if you can even see it. This is the code I have in Sublime. We have a app.js file, which is the key part to this code, and then a couple of views. One of the key things here I want to talk about is Google Client ID, Google Client Secret, and redirect URL. You will need those things to do the Google login, and we'll see how we're going to set those up. So, let's. And the other thing, it gave the set of instructions. It's all in a Word document, which you can't read. Okay, well, forget that. Okay, let's run it. All right. Here's the Google login on localhost. This is my web page. It says welcome and log in with Google. Let's try it. Yeah, there we are. We're logged in. So it gives me back my email and my profile, my picture. So we're also going to try it on Heroku. Let's go over here, same thing. And that works too. So we got it working in both places. Let's look at the credentials, how you set up those credentials. What you want on your credentials is, again, the client ID, the secret, and the redirect URL. To get those, you want to go over to the Google Cloud, right over here. You notice they have API keys, auth keys, service accounts. What you want is these auth keys. Let's go create some credentials. Okay, Q auth keys. Application type. You want to choose a web application. Okay, we'll call this a demo. And then we don't need any JavaScript origins. We will need to redirect URL. Let's call this anything. Yes. Host. I'll just put that for now because we're not going to use this. Create. Oops, invalid redirect URL. Oh. Try this. Get back over to my other instance. Is this working? Oh, no. Well, anyway, you'll come up with your client and secret, and there's going to be a place where you can, and the redirect URL, you already typed that in. There'll be a place where you can download that to your system, and you have all that information there. The client secret will come up, but it will, we had the, well, okay. Environment variables, didn't get to that point, all right. We'll go to that next time. Oh, the environment variables will go in, well, we won't sometime, okay. All right. What's that?
I'll work on getting that cleaned up for it.
All right, yeah, thanks.
This one's good?
Yeah.
All right.
So we're trying to create like a credential and tracing the code to create one.
It's not showing
I did
there.
all that. I didn't get.
What is
You can
happening?
and copy paste it.
Well, I had it.
How I move into that? It's not showing that.
What do you?
No, it is. In which screen is that one?
Okay, so I see there. Right here, so there's screens there. Just move whatever you want.
You need to do modify the check. Was it pretty good?
There you go.
Okay. It's a hidden screen there.
We have 5 desktops.
Okay. All right. Oh, good. Okay. One of the things I has been trying to do, I don't know, let me try to fight with this concept of dual screen. Okay. I have been involved in a lot of communities, and one of the things that is hard is how you get onboarding and how you get connected with the people in the communities. One of the things I say, okay, there is a canvas. Today we have a canvas for everything, and that is one canvas for communities. This one is a very good and very useful to create a canvas and identify what is the value chain that are happening within the canvas. How you participate in the community and how you add value to the community. And one of the points that is quite interesting is you have people and you want to have a way to connect that people and integrate teams. That teams is connected through social media, through Discord, and have in some way regular activities, how that can be done. One of the things I found that are very valuable is how we can generate some way of having that kind of communication among the people. Is we lost a huge amount of knowledge in locations like here. Is you have a conversation with people, how you register that, and one of the points we are proposing here is how we can use some kind of sounding boards, how to get connected a group of people, this group of people, how we register, who are these people, each one of them, how we have some kind of agenda, how we create projects, how we develop that communications. This is a virtual community that could happen exactly the same way in virtual or in real communities, in a way that you generate the value of the community and how, in some way, is you're chatting with people around you. Who is these people? What kind of capabilities we have to know this guy, to know all the social media or connections that we can have with that people. What are the skills that each one of us we have? Here, that is one of the skills that I describe by myself. I use Clinton's strengths, and it's from the book Find Your Strengths, that generate a way to how to connect and identify your 10 more valuable talents. Where you born, what is the location? For instance, in this group was very hard to put all the people together in how we can connect among us. Is we in this group, the Zoom that I show you is people that is in Australia, people that is in Pakistan, people that is in Silicon Valley, people that is in Argentina, in Portugal, and that kind of things is important. How you connect and how you create that amount of information in a much easier way for everybody. And one of the ideas is using tools. In this case, I am using Notion as a tool, and how you can create a board. Then the board is a group of people, how you start adding some group of people, and I want to find an easy way that after having a conversation of 10, 20 minutes, how you keep track of that conversations, and next week when you connect, you know where you were in the last week. Because it's obvious we have a lot of things happens during the week, and we forgot a lot of things that we chatted. How we generate that. And that is one of the ideas we're working, and I am trying to do how we do knowledge management, how we do collaboration, and how we can generate this approach of integrating much more the communication among these kind of groups. And I'm really open to listen ideas. If some people after this chat want to play with me and generate some way. Today only, this idea just I came yesterday, how to manage that. And I have had already 3 conversations with 3 different groups of people, and we are generating some history about what we have been chatting during that conversations. Ideas? What do you think? Is a problem that you have it for yourself? Is something that you connect with a lot of people, very, very interesting, and after a week, everything is lost. And one of the things I try to find is how we keep that connection going on. Thank you. I have a minute for questions. Hard to have that. We're doing that much better.
Any questions?
I do. So essentially, you're gonna be able to write like a note into Notion, which is going to generate like the thing for next week's conversation.
is to register the previous conversation and how to generate that. And if you use ChatGPT, that Notion today has that kind of things. You say, help me to summarize what we discussed, help me to find out what is the next steps
Would
to
you
be
still
doing.
have to type every single thing?
Right now, yes, but some of the things that is now available is you can use voice and voice conversation to generate that into text.
Nice. That's interesting.
Something else? Nobody has that problem. Nobody cares about losing the conversations and happily you have every week, every day.
Oh, yeah.
Going here for business.
I forget yesterday.
It's hard sometimes to know about all those conversations.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you.
Well, thank you. Next up is biology. Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure you make it large. Okay. And we have to put in presentation mode.
Right.
Oh, you're- Is this it? Okay. Should be good. Can you refresh?
Hi, this is Balaji here. This week I'm going to talk about the multifunctional backpack, which is called the Octobox. Actually, we are having a lot of gadgets to carry, like keys, charger, mask, glasses. Sometimes we forget some things and we have to go back home and get in. So to avoid this, why not have a multi-armed backpack, which is holding all this stuff for you so that you don't forget anything. So this one is 8 arms. It has a silicon 3D printed attachment we can add to the backpack existing. So that way we can reuse existing one. And what are the other possibility we can use? So if you take the cooking range, if you have you have to cook, you have to reach out for so many things at a time. So if you have an apron which has this type of having the spatula to hold all these things like salt, pepper, anything, it can have it in its arms. It can dispense using that. So it's a multi-functionality. We can add that to the apron so that you don't need to go around searching for your ingredients. Other usability of this one is to use in hospital setting. So if you have elderly people or patients, they will forget things of like medicines, those things. It has to. This will carry those things each separately, and it will dispense on the right time. And it acts like a airbag, so that when they fall down, it will protect. So it has a camera behind, so that it will judge if they're out of balance or something. It helps to act like an airbag too. So other possibility is to use as a mobile restroom. It is a silicon-based bag, so it can be sterilizable, reusable. So in case of traveling those areas, it can be used as a mobile restroom. So other possibility is to use in the hospital setting, surgery, wearable robotic surgery we have, like Intuit has a robotic surgery unit. Well, very expensive, but if you have a much simpler one, which we can use in the robotic surgical things. So it can use as a successor holding the scissor. So it will replace the so many people grouping around a surgeon, so that it will reduce the people around it, around the patient. It will be free to operate, and it will assist the surgeon in a better way. So for the army, it can be used as a backpack for floating device. So it has an airbag so that they can use a floating device. At the same time, it has a camera, so they don't need to turn back. It has it covers as the giving the eyes behind for them. And also it protects against chemical as a mask. They can use as a mask. So this is the idea I have. So this this can be done as a simple device also. We can make it a robotic also, but for a plain usage, it's a multifunctional way we can use that. Basically, this one, there is a toy created a long time back in Disney, but it is for just for kids they were using, but it can be used as a functional tool that can be modified using, if you have a silicon-based bag, it can be reused in a different way. So that is my take, and so if you have any questions.
Any questions? Always interesting. I love yours. So, thank you. Oh, this one's yours. All right. Next up is Ray. After that, it'll be Giovanni, and then I don't know where Sweet is, but he's up after.
Do you have an adapter for this?
Oh, you have HDMI.
Oh, okay. It might need to be. It might need to be plugged in. It's all right. Let's see if I can get this thing to actually press play properly. Hi, I'm Ray. I'm usually here with certain other projects. Right now, the one that I'm trying to make happen is finishing up my teardrop trailer project. I had a bit of a head start just because I was able to purchase somebody else's half-finished project and most of the supplies, but that's, even though that looks pretty impressive by itself, it still needs a lot of different stuff going on with it to try and finish it up, not the least of which is I decided that I wanted to cut one more very big hole out of the ceiling for it, because as one does, you find a YouTube tutorial that makes it look a hell of a lot easier than it it actually is, and trying to put all of this stuff together, get the right power tools. So ironically, this is probably the easy part, just because I've at least gotten that far in terms of there was a big hole. There was plastic. It just needs to be put together into some of the other components. So the rest of this presentation is going to be a bit more speculative, just because it's the parts of it that I've yet to actually finish. For example, there's no back door on this thing yet, and the galley area is usually like kitchen, trunk space, trying to get some of those parts. So most of them are built such that they go upwards and can be used as sort of shade or lighting, or I'm actually planning to put a solar panel on the back, which is going to make this a little bit more complicated. But this is just an example of somebody else's trailer with similar stuff going on. As I mentioned, the inside of this still more or less looks like that. So still needing to slap some insulation between the studs, have sort of interior walls to hold all of that insulation in place. Make the floor slightly more comfortable. There will probably be a mattress in there, as well as dealing with the exterior, which I'm planning on weatherproofing with something called poor man's fiberglass, which is basically just you're taking glue, you're taking fabric, you're sandwiching them until you have enough material there, and then you paint the whole thing together. We have supplies for most of that, but a lot of that you can just imagine that's taking time, that's taking effort. You sort of need to know what you're doing, because just like trying to apply a screen protector to your phone, you can imagine bubbles do happen, and you don't necessarily want them there. So it pays to be careful about this stuff. After that, slapping paint on stuff, and you can't just use the same paint on the inside and the outside of the vehicle, because the inside's going to be your bedroom. You better make sure that it's at least something that you can breathe, and versus the outside stuff where you want it to be as durable as possible, because this thing has to go out on the open road. After doing all of that fiberglassing and painting, actually installing everything onto the trailer parts, in terms of doors, in terms of lighting, in terms of that's like the power ports that goes into that hole on the side, so that when necessary we can do solar power, and obviously making sure at the very end for quality control, if there's anything we missed, if there's anything semi-obvious that needs to be put together. As you can sort of tell from the pictures, there's a fair bit of supplies there. It's just a matter of figuring out where they all went. And if you would like to help me finish this project, I am trying really hard to get as much of it done this weekend as I possibly can, while I still have most of my friends in town to help me. So if you would like to be one of those people, or become one of those people, speak to me afterwards. I realize this is being live streamed. I'm not dumb enough to try and dox myself. And yes. So, any questions?
What was the most challenging thing that you faced in this, which was deceptively easy, which looked like easy but was actually very challenging?
Pretty much all of it. Like when I had first sort of taken on this project, people were like, are you nuts? You've barely done any woodworking, or rather, most of the woodworking you've done has been, you know, doing IKEA assembly stuff. So a certain amount of it is being, you know, a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, knowing which power tool to use in the right scenario. For instance, when I was originally cutting out the skylight hole, I was trying to do most of that with a jigsaw, and then I made one close cut into the studs for the skylight frame, and I realized I should probably be using a router for this, because a router has that nice little guide wheel that keeps you from cutting off more than you necessarily mean to. So, a certain amount of this is just, being able to stay focused enough and being able to maintain enough momentum. Once things get more or less going on the project, not all of those pictures were taken at the same time. So, and this trailer did go into storage briefly while I was doing some stuff on the other side of the country. So even just a certain amount of, okay, where was I going with this again? Where did I put those particular tools? Yes. Anyone else?
Okay. All right. Giovanni? Oh, no, actually, sorry. How do you say your name? Yeah. Sorry. Some kind of dash. Oh, no, you're good. Write it down. Notes with your chest. And make sure it's big enough.
That's not what I was reading. Well, youth is wasted on the young, but that's not what I was reading. Display is this. I don't know which way the screen is, sorry.
Jorge, the same problem.
Can you grab the tab at the top and then just
Yeah,
smash it across?
I'm not sure which way that it's going.
You can find it goes that way. See the plus?
It's not going into the screen. I just want to clone the display. Screen mirroring. Sorry about that.
Oh, no. It's a common thing.
I'm talking about this right here.
How about this?
Can you grab this stuff over here and then just smash it across?
It's getting stuck here.
This is what you're looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, just the window as well. Yeah, let me just try it.
Normal.
There you go.
Nice.
Thank you. Okay, so sorry about the delays. The talk is going to be about just trying to make your password managers a little bit safer than whatever they are right now. So a bit of good practices, and so basically how it all started. So during pandemic, I got into creating my own home lab. And with Home Lab comes a rabbit hole where you start digging into every other aspect of, be it storage management, be it compute, be it password protection, everything, right? So one of the things that you guys, which should be followed, is try to keep it as simple as possible. The more complicated you try to make it, the worse it gets, because there are more points of failure. So preferably just use a Bitwarden. If not, some people, if you don't want to trust your credentials with a third-party service or anything, you can host it on KeePass, which is an open source software which manages those credentials on your, a system file itself, like a password file. The good practices are to have a strong password, but not everybody wants to remember a very strong password. Preferably have a passphrase or something like that. So like, there's a very nice cartoon on the or webcomic on this by XKCD where they say that just choose 4 words, random words like moth, tiger, dojo, and chair. Like that itself with spaces becomes a much better password than any other password, and easy to remember as well. But fundamentally, if all else fails, one thing that you can make use of to make it secure is using a secure key. So YubiKey is a good example. And the way it works is, in addition to your password, within YubiKey, you can configure something called a HMAC challenge response, where what it does is it's a hashing function. So if you provide it a string, it will respond back with a response, but hashed with whatever the key initially your YubiKey was configured with. The way it works is basically you want the KeyPass to say that I want to connect. Then KeyPass will say that it's all good, but I'll need your password. And then you provide your password. But along with the password, you also say that I have this YubiKey, which I have. So at that point, KeyPass is going to send a challenge to the key. So that allows you to have 2 factors of authentication. Basically, if somebody does not have the key, then they cannot decrypt your password vault. And KeyPass receives the response of the HMAC challenge, and it says that, well, the password matched, the hash matched, so it seems all good, you have access. And just to give a quick demo as to what this challenge response looks like, you can have the YubiKey manager, which is called as YKman, configured. And so let me just do the info on the. So this will show you all the various capabilities that and again, this is not something which is YubiKey specific, it's a security key specific thing. So you can pick up something else from Amazon, which has some decent reputation probably, and that should still work. So it shows all the capabilities that it has. Your FIDO is the best standard which is available, but that requires a server-client relationship. Your password managers are not hosting a server. There's no kind of timestamp or anything, so that doesn't work yet. So you're left with something called the HMAC, and the way it works is you have already configured it. So once you configure an HMAC by generating it, it will put, I think it's 8 bytes or some specific number of bytes it puts as a random key value there. And then during the time of computation, it will say, let's say my challenge is 1, 2, 3, 5. So it will spit out this large random key, and this kind of gets appended to your password. So now even if you have a very poor password like QWERTY, because of this, now your password stays secure than it was because of choosing a weak password. And if you change just one character here, the whole response changes, right? So that's the whole point of having a security key or an HMAC kind of function. There are challenges for this, and so challenges and where do you want to use it, right? So first drawback of this approach is that it is static, right? So you are kind of susceptible to something called replay attack, where somebody can intercept or store the response that was sent the first time and just replay. And yeah, that's a possibility. But yeah, it just allows you to have a second factor authentication for your password files and you to share it with someone else. That's all from my side, and hope this helps. Any questions?
Any questions?
What happens when you lose the YubiKey?
So preferably either you want to write down that initial challenge, or whatever the key you configured, right? So stored separately on a text file. So here, so it's going to generate at this point. Oh, sorry, the YubiKey is not there. So there you go. So this large string that you see, that's technically your secret key, right? So there are two ways. Either you have multiple YubiKeys and configure all of them with the same thing, or you can just write it down on a piece of paper and keep that paper somewhere else. So if you lose your YubiKey, you can get a new one and configure the same string again, and it's restored.
So if anybody will steal this, it will steal it.
That's your second factor to some extent. Yes. So that's why I write it on a paper instead of storing it in some file.
There's one question online. Can you please elaborate a bit on the flow of key and challenge?
The flow of key and challenge. Do they mean that this? Sorry.
Zoom in a bit.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find where it is. This part?
I'm going
So-
to guess so. They haven't.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, think of it this way, right? So when you're trying to decrypt any file, it's essentially what a password store is, nothing but an encrypted file. Okay, and you want to decrypt it, so you provide it a password, and that's your decryption key. Now, in addition to password, if you also append the challenge response. So, for example, my password was QWERTY, which is a weak password anybody can crack. But in addition to that, it says that whatever is this device YubiKey you have, KeyPass is going to send it a challenge request, which can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be some other thing which it stored at the point of that vault creation, whatever it be. Every single time you would want to authenticate, it would send it to YubiKey. YubiKey is going to generate that random string, or actually the hash of that string, which is going to be deterministic. And so every single time it's going to use your password plus the HMAC response, and together only it will authenticate or decrypt it. Right?
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Right, sweet. What is your topic? Not this side. We will be. Well, your mic's on.
Good.
Oh, that's coming down, so-
So if you don't keep a backup of it, then you do lose everything, which makes it secure. But it's also
I haven't been on that platform for about like 4 months.
there's always a trick.
I gave a speech about macroeconomics and the crypto. So today I just want to have like a very brief upgrade of the past week. What happened and probably why. And I took 2 graphs. First is a positive graph, which I think was the top event of the whole week on the macro side. What influenced traders, why they did this. Can I talk without mic? Why they took this position and what gonna be expecting us maybe because of that. So, it's a producer price index. Everyone knows how producer price index is formed. So basically, there is a base which is 100, something like 2011. So that's price 1. Here we got price 1.4 or 140. So basically, if we have something like $1 here, it's going to be $1.40 there on the producer side. So I mean, producers, that's everything which we consume first come from producers. So their price included in what we consume. Then it's going to be on top of that retail price and of course inflation and then everything else. So the positives, you see this small kind of downtick, very invisible. So it's a March price. So first time in almost very long time, producer price ticked down. And it was actually first time since April 2020. Well, do you understand why it's very good for trading? Because of the court, because of the Mr. Powell, James Powell, sorry, it's a federal commissioner, right? The chairman of the Federal Open Market Committee. So his position is that PPI is very important, although he's saying that about almost everything. So that was a positive and everything goes up, I mean, like on the market. So now I'm going to the negative. I just took that graph because it impressed me, but it's a small business optimism index. Small business optimism index is issued by one of the agencies in the States. So basically, if you see here, we got only 2 occasions in the whole history of the index when small business optimism was in such a sharp decline. First was in the 80s, so-called Carter's depression. So just before Reagan came to power, it was like Carter's crazy policy and high inflation, everything. And the second was, of course, during that crisis, mortgage debt crisis. So now we have the third occasion. You've seen this? You see this? So now we got another downtick, and we stayed here for a very long time. So for us, small businesses, not good news. So we got like this contradiction in macroeconomic side. And now I don't think I have, I got 1 minute. And now, of course, what everyone is expecting is what's going on with Bitcoin. No one knows, I can tell you that. But that's kind of my projections. I'm playing with that. So don't take me accountable for it. Yeah. And that was my projection like at the beginning of the year when I did the same talk here. So it was 3 scenarios. So now we more or less was going by the second scenario of mine, but probably we even can get higher. So because of these resistance lines, you see that very, very strong resistance on 30K. So possibility of like leg down or like fifth wave. It's high, but we still can get low. All right. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
No, time for questions.
Yeah.
Anyone have a question? Oh,
Okay, go on.
What is your projection for the Bitcoin? Is going to go up?
Right in your face. It's always variations because it's always easy to take that position. Otherwise, it's not going to be easy for me to stand here and look at your faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two more.
Okay,
and then
another one.
Tucker.
Yeah, I was wondering for all the depressions, 2 depressions, I mean, there's some reason what caused all of that. What's the reason for ours now? So if you were to put COVID aside, what's the real cause of what we're seeing over there?
I'm out of the time. I answer your question because it just takes more than a few seconds. Yeah, it's a very good question. Yes.
Zach, you got anything
Okay.
quick?
Oh, you want a question? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. So I kind of work as a data scientist and I have data sets and I try to visualize where trends are going to go.
Excellent.
What always amuses me in a bad way about technical analysis is they take the outlier points and act as if that's the data and draw all their conclusions from the extremes rather than the stuff
That's
in the
not
middle.
correct.
Is that not correct?
That's depend on the indicators. At least what I know, the most popular indicator is about 250 most popular indicators. So there are some which kind of outliers. There is statistical methods to get rid of that.
Yeah.
So basically,
Well, usually I see them take the very tops and the very bottoms and draw lines and try to get a conclusion strictly off of outliers on YouTube.
No. Most of the technical indicators, they are smooth. So basically 250, for example, 220 moving average, that's exactly where they have special formula which get rid of that.
All right, that's good to hear. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Giovanni? So our timekeeper is now going to be have an unlimited time. You want to anything?
No,
You're good. Okay, you can stay from there to here. You can get up on the stage.
Cool. You guys hear me? Alright, cool. Wait, can you hear me like this? Without the microphone? Cool. Okay, cool. So I'm just not gonna carry it. Go. So today I want to talk about setting what we call moonshot goals. Essentially, these goals that are like really high, inspiring, goals that kind of freak you out, goals that you kind of feel like you're not gonna be able to achieve from whatever background you have, whatever. A lot of people don't even set goals. A lot of people set 10% of what they're actually are capable to achieve. And other people, like, you see them completely like crushing it. Like, we see them all over social media. A lot of people who, those kind of people are the ones a lot of other people tend to aspire to be like. We see people like Grant Cardone, like Tony Robbins, Dean, all these high influential people. And the reason they're there is because they set goals that really scare them. They had the courage to go out and achieve them. So today we're gonna get into, because I studied some of the best in the world. Tony Robbins is who I got this, basically the strategy I'm about to teach you guys, being one of the best in the world as well. So setting moonshot goals came from Peter Diamandis. He's the founder and chairman of XPRIZE. So the way he goes about achieving such goals that inspires people to actually go out and try to fix some of the biggest problems in the world, from agriculture, from like space, from education, from some of the biggest problems, period. The way they go about it is they set what they want to achieve. So the way they think behind setting that goal is what inspires them. What's a problem that that you see that people are struggling with? Like, what inspires you? What is actually hurting people? You gotta empathize with them. You gotta see what actually is hurting them and try to build solutions. Once you identify that, you write it down. And then what moves people is actually emotion. So once you identify why people are hurting, you start to build emotions as to why you must go out and achieve it. Because we are emotional beings. Instead of pushing to achieve a goal, we want to be pulled. I'm sure you guys have worked like until late and you're like just exhausted and you still like just have an idea and you want to like write it down and implement it whatever. I used to be a day trader, so my background's on that. And that happens all the time in the markets. Talking about whoever gave a speech on day trading. But that's the emotion behind it. Once you become passionate about something, you become like intellectually connected and emotionally connected to the mission and learning and becoming the best, then you start to move that way. Once you, in business terms, there's a lot of things you gotta get done. So you identify what you want, you add a bunch of emotion as to why you must have it. Who are you gonna become? Who is gonna be a better person because of you? And then you write down a bunch of things that you think you have to do, bad ideas, like all kinds of ideas, you write them down on the sheet of paper as well. And once you do that, you have to select, because 80% of results come from 20% of the activities that we do, not backwards. Yeah, that's actually right. So 80% of results come from 20% of the activities we do. So once you identify the top 2 or 3 needle movers, you focus on making those things happen. You break down those little projects, because they're gonna be like, create a website, make this video, and create a landing page, or like start driving traffic. And so there's a lot of things that you gotta do through that. You gotta like go to WordPress or code if you guys code. I'm a WordPress person, thank God. But yeah, you go make that happen. And then a lot of people fail to achieve those goals because their identity doesn't match who they must be or believe in themselves to actually make that happen. So you have to improve the way you perceive yourself. The way you perceive yourself, you have to tell yourself that you're gonna be great. You have to tell yourself that you're gonna actually come out of this, that you're a hard worker, that you're an achiever, that you're an overcomer, that you will penetrate anything that gets in your way. Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter what it is, you're gonna penetrate right through it. So once you have that identity, you start looking for ways and people you can connect with that'll bring that reality to life. Because great things happen in teams and nobody can go too far alone. Eventually it's gonna be a team that's gonna be needed. So that's the way the best in the world set goals and go out and accomplish them. Hope you guys took something from it. And yeah. Any questions?
Which one is your moonshot?
My moonshot. So something about me. I used to be a day trader, but my family lost everything. Ended up in Mexico with nothing to my name, nothing. So when I was there, I started mentoring some kids. And their mom was actually a drug addict. She was an alcoholic, and I started like kind of teaching them to like become good at school. And I saw a huge disconnect that kids and parents have, the way some parents treat their kids. And I started to become curious about why that's happening. And I started questioning a lot of things in society. Being a day trader, I studied like the global markets, like being a day trader, you study fundamentals, which is like everything that's happening in the world, from what kind of sales they get on their cars, like Japan, to their home sales, and all kinds of things. So I started questioning why society is bad, and started thinking a lot about those things, getting into personal development a lot. And my moonshot goal to answer that is to actually connect or make the society better by creating communities and connecting the family together. Because the average parent spends about like 4 to 6 hours a week actually connecting with their kid. They can sit around and watch TV, but it's not connection. You're just with them. You're not actually engaging. You're not knowing what's happening in the school with them. I was talking to one of my mentors. He doesn't know like about if his kid's getting bullied or not, and he's quote unquote connected to his kid. So there's a lot of conversations that are not happening. And that's the reason we have a lot of bad things happening. You gotta influence your child more, and you gotta connect with your child more. And the way you do that is through activities and getting to know them in conversation. But that's my goal, connecting families, because I think that's gonna make the world a much better place.
Okay, I think this died. Yes. All right. Well, that's it for today. That's done. We'll be having actually some classes next week on lightning talks and helping with presentations. It is something that Tiana and I have been working on. So look forward to those. They'll be on meetups, and we'll be able to help make these more and more like polished and ready to be posted for your resume sort of things. So, all righty. Thank you all.